Now it is the Senate's turn to take up Trump's big, beautiful bill. Look who's here, Kevin O'Leary joining me. Last week, you weren't happy with the bill. Are you happy with it now?
Not yet. There's a piece of language. There's a lot of good provisions in it. Remember, I look through the lens of small business, which is 62% of job creation, 5 to 500 employees. There's a thing going on about the ERC, the Employee Retention Credit. Yeah. And the tonality is that it was a fraudulent program. The facts are it's not true. Only 2.9% admitted by the IRS themselves were ever fraudulent. That's less than most government programs. But this language says that anybody that took it, which are millions of small businesses, are going to be open for audit for 9 years, which is ludicrous because they won't be able to raise any money. But the fact is, if you committed fraud in any scenario, there is no statute of limitations. The IRS already has the power to go audit you till forever, because if you're fraudulent, you're fraudulent. They don't need this provision.
Do you have a personal stake? But wait a second. Do you have a personal stake in any of the companies involved in that?
Well, there were millions of companies, millions, that kept them alive. The ERC program was very functional in keeping companies alive. It's over now, Stuart.
What's your personal stake in it?
Absolutely. I was one of the people that got it for all of my companies. I worked hard to get it for thousands of others. Okay. I was a huge advocate for this program, so I know it very, very well. And I'll take credit for delivering it to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small businesses, and it kept our people employed. And you look at all these other bills, like the CHIPS and Science Act, Infrastructure Act, not a dime for small business. So I'm an advocate for small business, and what they're doing at the IRS is empowering them to put this huge shadow over them, 9 years of audit threat. They won't be able to raise any money with banks anymore or investors. So I'm saying you already have the power to audit them in perpetuity if they're fraudulent. And there is practically no fraud, 2.9% admitted by the IRS themselves. So I'm going to the Senate and I'm showing this to senators, and they're outraged too. They can't believe we would empower the IRS to stymie small business this way. It's an outrage.
Okay, next case. Are tariffs a form of consumption tax? And do you like tariffs? You okay with that?
They are a consumption tax, Stuart, and they're just that we had never been able to push that through Congress as an idea. We don't like VAT taxes in America. I get it. But when you do a reciprocal tax of, let's say, 10%, that's essentially a VAT tax. It's a consumption tax. You buy a product with a tariff on it, you're paying a consumption tax. So look, there's two ways to go. Call it what it is, a consumption tax, or stay on this course, calling it a reciprocal tariff. But at some point, we got to work this out. We've seen what the administration did this morning with the EU. They're not coming to the table, so their heads are getting squeezed again. And this is going to go on and on and on until this gets worked out. If the EU wants to tariff U.S. products at 10%, I see no problem with doing a reciprocal tariff at 10%. But we got to work it out. And then, of course, the whole China thing, which you and I have been talking about for months. I mean, China's a whole different kettle of fish. We've got to get them on the IP stuff and everything else. And that is happening. But if the EU doesn't want a deal, you're going to get this volatility. But it's all part of the negotiation. So if it ends up being 10 and 10, we know VAT taxes work in Europe between 7 and 14%. We're going to have one here, too. And the economy can evolve around it. The Apple thing is really interesting. I mean, my goodness, what's that company going to do? They can't move manufacturing back here in any time soon.
Nope.
So we've got problems there, too.
Okay. You don't look happy, Kevin, today. You're Mr. Wonderful. You've usually got a smile on your face.
I'm happy, but volatility is the consequence of negotiation. And I have to deal with it every single day, and I'm getting used to it now. But I'd like to advance and get a deal. Pick a deal. Sure. Want EU? Let's do EU. Let's do something. Let's get a deal.
The Trump administration has moved to block Harvard's student visa program. Harvard's suing. Okay, I got all that. You're an executive fellow there. What do you make of this strong move against Harvard?
It's so clear as to what has to happen. The president of Harvard has to call the president of the United States, get behind closed doors and work out a deal. But let me assure you something about these international students. I teach them. These are the smartest students in the world. Harvard is the oldest educational institution. These students are extraordinary individuals, and they don't hate America. They want to come here and stay in America, and they want to figure out a way that they can start a business in America, and we want them. We want them here. I want to invest in them. I've already invested in 2 of them. These are the brightest and the best from around the world, and they're coming for the American dream. Now, Harvard has to talk to the president, president to president. Now, this has to get worked out. When I go back there to teach in the fall, I want the best and brightest, because I, along with millions of other investors, want them to stay in America. Why don't we vet them first, check their backgrounds, clear them, and tell them, you graduate Harvard, you're an engineer or whatever, you stay here and you start a business here and you'll get funded here and you'll create jobs here, because that's why you came here in the first place. These people do not hate America.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. Cheer up, Mr. Wonderful. Cheer up. It's over.